Welcome everybody to the Victory and Vices podcast. Me, Rory Spooner, James Veck back again. We will now be renaming the podcast the VAR podcast because that's all we have to talk about this season. Let's get into it. Man City Spurs. Straight off the bat. Okay, VAR. Your take? Drama.
What's my take on VAR in this match? Or
Your take on life in general.
Life in general.
Life in general. Yeah, tell me what you think.
It's controversial, isn't it?
Bro, where do we even start with this again? I feel like we're going to just talk about this all season. And I mean all season long.
Just like it was the other night, though. It's not the VAR that's controversial.
It's the rule itself.
It's the law, isn't it? Yes. Yeah. And I think we mentioned last week there was a goal ruled out in the Leicester Wolves game.
Nuno was not impressed.
Not impressed. And obviously we were waiting, and perhaps thought it would take longer than this to happen, but we were waiting for almost the exact kind of scenario that we saw at the end of the City Spurs game, where you watch that back and you're just like, that's something or nothing. There's no Laporte doesn't know that that's going to happen. His arm is where it is, and it's just as a brush.
It is unfortunate.
It is unfortunate. You couldn't There's nothing you can do about that.
But you can't write those type of scripts, can you?
You can't.
And they say lightning doesn't strike twice.
But
Motherfuckers, it does, let me tell you.
And yeah, like I said, you were perhaps waiting for a scenario to come up where something like that would happen, and it's happened the very next week.
I think it's hilarious that it's happened twice now for City, by the way.
Oh, and it will go their way at some point. You would imagine it would.
Third time's a charm. Third time's a charm, it has to.
But yeah, that happened, and it's such shit luck for them. And as per the rule, it is it's justified and it is correct. It just so happens that in both circumstances, it's been a last-minute goal, which has denied them victory on both occasions, which is a real sucker punch for them to take.
Yeah.
But the thing that sticks out is a little bit frustrating about the rule for me is that if it hits the defender's arm, then obviously there's no disadvantage that way. If it hits the defender's arm, they don't get a penalty. Or anything like that. It doesn't, it doesn't then aid Man City or the attacking team. It doesn't give you the advantage.
That's true.
Yet, if it hits the attacking player's arm and results in a goal, it gets chalked off. So
I don't like. I agree on that respect. I think you can't have one without the other. I struggle to understand how these Premier League teams with such a big rule change have gone into the season and have just sort of missed it.
Yeah.
Because even Hugo Lloris went, I kind of thought it was a goal.
Yeah.
And none of the Spurs players were sharp enough to go, hang on a minute, he's hit that with his hand. Not one of them. Bear in mind, these footballers will protest about anything and everything, and they all missed it.
But in a way, though, it's because it happened so fast, and in real time, it looks like he's flicked it on. So I don't think any of the players in that situation are quick enough to pick up that.
Do you think?
That are not 100%. Until you slow that down and you see a replay, nobody knows that's hit his hand.
Okay? Bar Laporte, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, even then, though, when the ball comes at you quick, I mean, you could probably think, possibly, but you probably couldn't say for certain.
I think deep down Laporte knew.
Perhaps he did, right? But nobody else did.
That's very true.
And obviously, VAR checking all the time. And I think any instant now, where if it's in the box or something, the camera's probably always looking at it anyway. And they've probably gone, hang on there, that's hit his arm. But the fact that we're scrutinising and talking about decisions now and disallowing goals, situations where to the human eye in real time nobody knows things have actually happened. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is. That was the big talking point of the Man City game. I mean, the Aguero issue became an afterthought, so to speak, because realistically, I don't think it was that big a deal between Aguero and Guardiola. I mean, there's a little frustration on Aguero's part. I find Guardiola to be quite accommodating in those situations. I think he's a very good manager like that. I think he just kind of understands the frustration having been a player himself. So he's like, okay, look, Sergio, just chill. Yeah,
and he took him off just after the hour mark, I believe, and it was obviously he wanted to stay on, felt like he could impact the game, but just one of those.
It would have been a master stroke if it wasn't for said handball. Yeah, yes, but exactly. It was a great game though, the Spurs game. Again, we have to give big credit to Spurs. I mean, look, they didn't play that well. Man City dominated, but they hung on in there.
Yeah, I mean, Spurs can count themselves very, very lucky. It was a very poor performance from them.
Wasn't it just?
You look at the stats now, they were pretty much beaten in every particular area. I think City had, was it 20-odd, 30 shots.
They battered them in parts, bro. They really did.
They really did batter them, and they were very hard done by in terms of obviously the VAR decision, and that they didn't take more chances. But Spurs didn't offer a lot, but they have a knack of just sticking in games. And
Lucas Moura loves a dramatic equaliser, doesn't he?
Oh, do you know, the 2 goals they scored, they're just out of nothing, because you look at the first one, I feel like Edison's too far off his line.
With Lamella.
Yes, because it's nowhere near the corner, and he's just curled one, and I just think Edison...
He's kind of passed him.
Yeah, it's almost like he wasn't expecting him to shoot from where he was. He's got bodies in the way, he's a little bit off his line, and as he shot, it's just almost gone past him already. So that one obviously came against the run of play out and nothing, and then you've got Lucas Moura winning a header then in the box, off a corner, which
Lucas Moura as well, 4'3" in there, so like for him to outjump everybody. And by the way, he's the most Indian-looking Brazilian I've ever seen in my life. Like, he genuinely could pass. If you saw Lucas Moura and you said, "What race is that guy?" He could be Bangladeshi, he could be Saudi Mexican, Arabia. He could be absolutely anything. Like, I would not want to distinguish his race, as someone pointed it out. But anyway, we won't go too much into Moura's ethnicity.
Obviously, like City's goals, right? They were both taken beautifully. Good football.
That they were.
Kevin De Bruyne.
Oh, bro, De Bruyne. Oh.
Coming back to his best, I believe.
Magic.
Everyone's talking about Sterling, obviously rightly so. Obviously, he's at 4 goals now.
Yes.
In 2 games, obviously playing very, very well.
Great finish, by the way, as well.
Exactly, and last season, obviously, De Bruyne struggled with injuries, but it looks like he's getting back to his best now, and there's not many better crossing the ball than there is for Kevin De Bruyne.
I think that's a debate that's happening on Monday Night Football tonight, is who is the best ever crosser.
And I think David Beckham is hammering that poll.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Purely because of popularity or because of talent?
I saw something earlier, I think it was a Sky poll, and it was... Gerrard, De Bruyne, Beckham or other, and Beckham had like 60% of the...
Makes sense. Bex is
popular
like that, though.
But obviously being United fans, don't have to come across as bias. Just want to put it out there. Kevin De Bruyne is an unreal crosser of the ball.
Bro, the guy is stupidly talented. Him being fit this season is the key for City.
Yeah.
It is the absolute key. If he stays fit, they can do wonders.
As if, winning 3 trophies pretty much without him for large parts wasn't enough. Having him at full strength alongside all the others is formidable. That is, that's some serious power. But I'm just trying to see a couple of stats that confirms it. City had 30 shots in a game, the most Tottenham have faced in a Premier League fixture since 2011.
But 31 versus Fulham.
Yeah.
What? When did that happen?
That's pre-Pochettino.
That's when were Fulham having 31 shots on target ever. That's insane.
That's crazy.
That might be the most mental stat. Never mind the Man City one. Fulham had 31 shots in a game. Shit. I can't quite believe it.
I think I'm going to go back and watch that game.
Yeah.
Spurs vs Fulham, 2011.
It sounds like a belter, mine as well, doesn't it?
After,
that sounds like a belter.
But yeah, if there's a stat that confirms City's dominance, then that would be it. Obviously, look 2-2. We always say that you can't always read into the scoreline. The United 4, Chelsea 0 looked like a walkover. It wasn't. This 2-2 looked like it was an even game. It wasn't. Yeah,
it's very true. City are 3rd currently. I'm fully expecting them to win the league again. They've got so much firepower, bro. And when it clicks for them, they are a joy to watch. Whether Absolutely. They are somebody said the other day on my Twitter, it came up on my timeline, that they're the best ever team in the Premier League, in the history of the Premier League. I would doubt that. I mean, I still think there are teams that are above them. And until they win a Champions League, I think that
there's still work to do
a little bit, but
they need to win more titles back to back, and to really stake a claim to that. There's people that say to that argument that, but we're only talking about the best Premier League team, not Champions League team. But in response to that, I say, in order to be the best Premier League team ever, it's what you also can do outside of that.
Yeah. You have to be able to sort of manage your workload and win multiple trophies.
Exactly. It's like sort of, if you want to prove how good you are domestically, it's show what you can do on the big
treble. Stage. You need a treble, and a real treble. Not that the other one was bad, in fairness, but it has to incorporate a Champions League somehow.
You'll take the treble, I would love that
all day.
Last season.
Bro, anybody would love that, in fairness. Anybody would. But shout out to Man City and Spurs. Great game. Great game for the neutral as well. Love Premier League football like that. Shame it wasn't on Super Sunday, because Super Sunday was a little vanilla this weekend.
And super.
Yeah, it was just a Sunday, really. It was very little super.
I hate it so much when they call it Super Sunday and they kick it off with Sheffield United versus I can't even remember who. Crystal Palace. That's who it was.
I mean, we'll get that out the way quickly. Shout out to Sheffield United, great win. They got a clean sheet as well. Palace, there's not an awful lot we can really say, to be honest with you. Zaha doesn't want to be there. They've lost Wan-Bissaka. It could be a struggle.
Yeah, and I've said this in the past. I don't really believe, and I haven't believed for some time, that you're going to progress any further than where they are as a club with Roy Hodgson as your manager. The word is dinosaur.
Oof.
He has been for many years. You know, he got the England job. I'm still not quite sure how.
Liverpool job as well, man.
Yeah, he gets some of these big jobs. He showed that in a major tournament. Not to go off too much, but obviously they didn't get past Iceland.
Yeah.
And obviously he's at Crystal Palace, which was more his level after England and Liverpool jobs. And the game is changing and he isn't changing.
You either evolve or you become extinct.
Exactly.
That's how it is.
Just like a dinosaur.
Just like the dinosaurs. Okay, cool. Quick transfer roundup. Coutinho has gone to Bayern.
He has? Interesting.
Very interesting. I mean, is it the option to buy? Which is very much like you are buying.
Well, I thought that I heard that the Coutinho to Spurs loan deal was off because Coutinho and Barcelona wanted a loan deal. And I know this is with an option to buy, but he's still gone out on loan, which
I don't think he had much choice though.
No, this is true. Bayern go about things very well. So they've got. Who's the other winger? There's Perisic that they were in for as well.
They signed even Perisic from Inter Milan, which is a very decent signing. He's not a bad player, and they got him actually at a very reasonable price as well. So,
and the thing is that they were after Sane, right? Obviously, Sane's injured now, so that kind of put that deal in jeopardy. So I think it's very smart of Bayern Munich. They've gone and got Perisic at a decent price
on a short-term basis,
and he does have real quality. I know they're going to continue in on loan, so they kind of like plug in the gaps until I think maybe next summer, where they could then go in for Sane again.
Well, do you know what? A midfield that consists of Thiago and Coutinho, I would buy a season ticket just for that, bro. I would buy a season ticket just for that. Oof. Well, Kingsley Coman's a very good young player as well. I mean, Renato Sanchez is still there. He's not really doing anything, Perisic. Yeah, no, Bayern are a very well-run footballing club, bro.
They run it the right way.
They run the right way, unlike another big club that plays in red, who shall we say, run the complete opposite way. But yeah, Coutinho to Bayern. That's the big one. Sanchez looks like he's going to Inter Milan. Are you happy with that? Just because United Wolves are playing tonight, so we don't really have a lot of United content tonight. But
you see, but Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is keep saying that he's part of his plans. So like it's quite contradicting news, isn't it? Because I
think he wants him to be, but I don't think Sanchez has any intention of being there. Especially when he probably looks at Mason Greenwood and thinks, I'm not going to get ahead of this guy. Mason Greenwood is clearly a favourite. I
mean, you asked my thoughts on it. I don't really have that much to say because it's not. If he was to go, I wish him the best of luck. It would be a very nice parting gift from Lukaku to take Sanchez off our hands.
Yeah.
But it's not like he's contributing anything at United that we would be missing out on, other than a massive wage.
Also numbers. I just think to myself, if there are a couple of injuries, because it is a long season with the Europa League, United might be left a little bit light. But that aside, I mean, like you said, what is he contributing other than negativity, maybe?
Yeah, and I mean, if there are a couple of injuries and you see Alexis Sanchez on the team sheet, are you holding out much hope?
Well, do you know what I would? I still root for the guy. I want him to do well.
And so do I, and if he stays at United, every time he gets named in the lineup, I hope that he does well. But he said 2 seasons, and the evidence says otherwise.
Yeah, look, I live more in hope than expectation.
It's the hope that kills you.
Isn't it just fucking hell? Don't we say that every week?
We do.
Okay, yeah, cool. Right, we'll go on to Arsenal next, because Arsenal had a very good win, and they may have unearthed a little gem. He was a very good player before he came to Arsenal, might I add, but Ceballos. Now, you can only beat what's in front of you, right? And Twitter, again, is just so worth the fucking time and effort, man, on a Saturday, because there's just banter everywhere. So Arsenal fans are like, yeah, you know what, Ceballos, he's way better than Paul Pogba. And then United fans are like, yeah, well, he's only with you for work experience until he goes back to Madrid. And Twitter just went off. And he had a very good game, and clearly he is a wonderfully gifted football player. It's only Burnley, so I'd like to see him do it over a more consistent sort of spell, but what a performance.
Yeah, and just a quick shout out to Burnley. Yes, they lost 2-1. Some good performances from Arsenal players, but Burnley were okay. They still created a couple of chances.
Burnley took long ball to a different level, though, I've thought. I mean, my God, like every other pass was a hoof-up pitch, and it's not something I get. You want to go direct, and you want to neutralise certain Arsenal players by going over the midfield. You kind of bypass them, and then someone like Ceballos, he can't get the ball.
Yeah.
But God, please, for the love of God, just try and string some passes together.
That is true. But going back to Ceballos, very impressive performance. Obviously, Reece pointed it out as well in our little WhatsApp group.
Yeah.
He strikes me with kind of a player that Arsenal haven't had for a little while. You know, you got like the way sort of Santi Cazorla was. Bit of an orchestrator.
Ding, 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 right in the money.
Bit of a technician. He's one of those, and you know, hopefully it'll continue for Arsenal fans. But every time he picked up the ball, he just seemed he already knew what he was going to do with it before he did it.
Yeah.
He's very slick, very quick on the turn.
He's very really La Liga, isn't he?
Yes, very good awareness. You could tell that he's got ability.
Oh, that boy can ball. That boy can ball.
Once the ball was coming into him, he already knew what he was going to do, and he was like pretty much already turning or flicking it or passing it, and the move was happening straight away. So Arsenal have missed a little bit of that, and especially with players like Aubameyang and Pepe and Lacazette in front, they're going to love that.
Oof.
So
Aubameyang, again, shout out to him as well, because bro, his goal scoring record is just absolutely phenomenal. Like it's ridiculous, and he consistently leads the line, and he just does it well. You know, he plays with passion, he plays with skill, he plays with tenacity. He's on the shoulder of the defenders, he drops deep, he looks dangerous. Everything he does is a joy to watch, and Arsenal fans must be fucking delighted he plays for them, bro.
And also, we sang Aubameyang's praises last week, and rightly so again. Just want to also give a shout out to Lacazette. Obviously got the first goal.
Another terrific player as well.
And the stat which ties nicely into that. So Lacazette has also been directly involved in 28 goals in 36 Premier League appearances. So that's 21 goals and 7 assists.
Okay.
Which is the joint most of any player for the club since his debut in August 2017. Joint with Aubameyang, also 21 goals and 7 assists.
Really?
Yes.
Well.
So they have identical records.
They can't be separated.
So, was it Lacazette that was there a little bit first? I believe Lacazette was there first.
What, in terms of who joined the club first? Yeah, it was Lacazette.
So, obviously, if you look at it that way, Aubameyang's been a little bit less, so his stats may be slightly more impressive, but them two are on par, you know. So, as much credit as you give Aubameyang, and we said last week, he probably is just about their main man, Lacazette isn't far behind.
He's not, David Luiz, quick mention for him. How do you feel like he done on the weekend?
Yeah, I thought he did okay.
He did okay, yeah. He wasn't
bad.
Like,
it's not the biggest test for him, you know.
No, not at all.
Like I say, Burnley were only playing sort of one route football. He's pretty good aerially. He's a pretty big guy. He's not slow. It'd be interesting to see how he copes up against better strikers, quicker strikers, strikers with more ability. Because no disrespect to Ashley Barnes, singled him out last week. He scored again. And I mentioned how he's becoming a bit of a consistent goal scorer for Burnley. It's not a real test for David Luiz.
He will have bigger and better tests.
Yes.
And I think the North London derby is the week after next, from what I remember, because I'm away that weekend. So I shall be watching that back in the motherland, back with my Irish brethren. So Spurs Arsenal, that's going to be a cracker. That is. I can't remember whether it is home or away for Arsenal. I can't remember for the life of me.
Well, if you bear with me,
have a quick look for
I will find out.
Because I'm interested to see how, if Arsenal get over that hurdle, then Arsenal they're making a serious statement. We already kind of expected Spurs to be making statements throughout the season anyway, and we expected them to be there or thereabouts. So Spurs wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. But if Arsenal can overcome that hurdle,
they got back-to-back, so it's Liverpool away this weekend. And then,
really? Well, I never. How did I miss Liverpool away?
Yeah, so they got 2 big hurdles.
Wow. I mean, that's not season defining, right? But
No.
in terms of the first chapter of the season, and
set a tone though.
Yeah, sets a tone, lays down a marker. Yeah, no, most definitely.
Away to Liverpool, and then home to Spurs. 2 big games there for them.
Oof.
They've got slightly easier when they go away to Watford and then home to Villa, and then they've got United. So
some big games coming up for Arsenal.
But then they are out the way
games.
as well. So if they can come out sort of the next 6 games, sort of like 12 to 15 points, that would be an excellent return to them.
Yeah, and you're playing these teams as well before they really get up to speed.
Yeah.
So, like you said, getting them out the way and maybe catching them cold is not the worst thing in the world.
Not the worst thing at all, no.
Yeah, absolutely not. Totally agree. Okay, cool. Right, we'll draw a line under Arsenal. Shout out to them. Great win. And, more power to them. Yeah, 2 from 2. Liverpool. Oh, Adrian. Do you know when that guy 2-footed him on the pitch in Istanbul and just completely wiped him out? Like, it was literally a total wipeout. I just sat there and do you know when you watch something through your hands like that, you're like, did he just fucking do that? Did he literally just clobber the Liverpool goalkeeper, the second choice goalkeeper, who was just the hero of the night, right? And you're thinking, yeah, this guy now could make a difference for Liverpool. And then, I don't know if maybe he had a bit of a mental block. He was still having night terrors about the guy coming up to him and absolutely clobbering him. But what was that pass? I mean, it's Karius all over again. What was he thinking? Mignolet, Karius? Bro,
I don't know.
Jeez Louise.
And he, like you say, he did so well, obviously in the Super Cup. To save
he was excellent in the Super Cup as well.
He was very, very good. And, you're on a massive high. Liverpool keepers of the past, such as Mignolet and Karius, they never got off to a good start, really. So they were always fighting against it.
Yeah.
Obviously, Adrian now, he's coming in for Alisson. He's had a very good first game. So you're thinking, right, you're off to a great start. Now you string together 2 or 3 good fixtures, back-to-back, good performances. And then it's not like you're going to displace Alisson, but then you're then viewed as a very good backup.
Yeah,
so that,
at least you're applying some pressure.
Yeah, and then the Liverpool fans will get behind you, the Liverpool defence will know that should you ever need to step in then, there's never going to be question marks over you like there was over Karius, Mignolet, etc. And he just went and fucked it.
Oh yeah, he really fucked in.
He was too calm, too composed.
I don't know what minute that was in. Was it the early 80s, maybe 82nd, 83rd minute?
It was 83rd minute.
And
they were 2-0 up, cruising.
Yeah, just get the ball up the top of the pitch. Like, don't dick around with it. Do you know what I mean? I don't know what he was thinking. Liverpool fans that I spoke to were just in utter disbelief that he could be so careless.
Exactly, and because of that simple act of just carelessness, he now will need to string 3 or 4 back-to-back games without any error to kind of restore that faith in him,
Oh yeah, 100%.
Because that's now happened. How much longer is Alice now for? Maybe another 2 or 3 weeks, perhaps?
Give or take, I think, yeah.
So obviously he's going to get the game time, but Liverpool fans now and opposition strikers
target him.
Are gonna, like, if you're a Liverpool fan, though,
you'll be on edge if he's in goal.
If he gets the ball back under pressure, you're going to be like...
And that sort of manifests itself in a tension that goes around the ground and...
The back four.
And the back four. Like, the Liverpool back four have not looked comfortable. Which is bizarre considering how rock solid they were last season. How that's changed, I don't know. If they need to work on things in training, maybe, I don't know. I know Klopp and Van Dijk had a bit of a falling out. I say falling out, they had a bit of a lover's tiff on the sideline in pre-season. But Liverpool defensively, they're not at it right now. Maybe they just need to get into a rhythm and maybe they need to just pick up speed, but it's not there right now.
Yeah, and they aren't at it, but luckily for them, they're attacking displays are seeing them through right now.
Sadio fucking Mane.
And this stems back to last season, right?
Sadio Mane.
Obviously, Mohamed Salah is a very good player.
Incredible football player.
Joint Golden Boot with Mane and Aubameyang. But I genuinely think right now, take Van Dijk out of the equation because it's a different kind of importance. Mane is their best player.
Well, my in-profile video will be coming the week after next regarding the Ballon d'Or.
Yeah.
Is Sadio Mane a worthy candidate for a Ballon d'Or?
He should definitely be on the short list. I don't know if... how long is the short list normally? It's maybe like a 10 or 8 man short list, isn't it?
Well, we will whittle it down to 3, right? So what I will say is this. I'm going to whittle my video down to 3. I want your opinion. If you now had to make a 3-man shortlist for a Ballon d'Or that's announced in... I mean, look, it can be subject to change, right? Because there's a couple of months until it comes out. But if you were to make a Ballon d'Or shortlist, a 3-man list, who would you put on it?
It's tough because there's 2 names I think we'll both have on the sheet, which is Van Dijk and Messi.
Yeah.
But the third one I think is completely open to interpretation, because some would say Mane or Salah, some would say Bernardo Silva.
Bernardo Silva, right? He just doesn't make the list because I don't know why he doesn't make the list.
But he should be in the conversation to make the list.
But he wasn't even in the team of the season. I read something the other day. He wasn't in the team of the season where he won the Nations League, he won the treble, he was instrumental in everything good City did, especially without De Bruyne. Didn't even get a look in.
Just one of those players that's not as well recognised
Just
as
not
others.
appreciated.
Obviously you've got Sterling.
I would probably put Mane just ahead of Sterling.
It's a close one.
Only because he won the European Cup.
And there's still people who will say about Ronaldo.
No, Ronaldo's not in this team.
Guarantee he'll be within the top 3.
He has to be in the top 3, right? Because it's a sexy thing for him to be in there. UEFA want to put him in there because he's Captain Big Dick, right? He is the icon of his generation alongside Messi. Ronaldo doesn't deserve to be in that list. Come in now. Now next season, when the Ballon d'Or's announced again, you could maybe put Ronaldo in, depending on what he does with Juve. But right now, he shouldn't be in that list.
Yeah, but he will be.
He always is. Yeah.
But yeah, to take that back to Mane, he should definitely be in the conversation. He's been extremely consistent, and like I said, towards the back end of last season and the way he's kicked off this season, Van Dijk aside, I would put him above Salah and Firmino at the moment in terms of their best attacking player.
It's a big debate that people are having right now. Who is Liverpool's most important player?
He scores goals, but he creates a lot as well. He does create.
I just think his intensity, the way he plays the game,
so much pace,
so much pace and power, and his directness, the way it just terrifies defenders. Like you said, the way he picked up the ball against Southampton, and he just got it out of his feet, bang, whipped it in. Oh, bro, he's a joy to watch. Like I'd love him to play for United. Yeah,
that was his 20th goal for Liverpool in all competitions this year, which is at least 8 more than any of his teammates this calendar year, which is Mo Salah's at 12.
Influential.
Yeah. So that that proves it in terms of form for this calendar year, at least anyway.
It does indeed. Okay, cool. We will go to a quick interval. Add us up on the social media platforms. We'll be back with the best of the rest, and we have a very interesting topic on equality. Not something you'd expect from us. We'll be back in 5. Alright, mother truckers, we're back. I hope you added us up on the social media platforms. Again, if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, please feel free to do so. We've got plenty of great content coming. And also, as I probably told you this. I might not have announced this yet. But what I'm going to do, as part of our 50th, get my words out, 50th.
Yes.
That's right, 50, our 50th episode celebration, I'm going to release a how to podcast video, a tutorial, because I know there's lots of people now that podcast, and average Joes like us, they want to give their opinion and they want a platform to create for themselves where they can share their views of the world. It's a very difficult process to get started. It isn't easy. Trying to find the equipment, trying to find basically the knowledge that you need to start. Now, I used YouTube, so I'm going to do a little YouTube video. You may be in it as eye candy.
But it's one of those things that obviously most of us now, or at least a lot of us, listen or watch or both podcasts.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And it's easy to take in. It's easy content, and if you've ever thought about starting your own podcast, it might seem like quite a straightforward idea. I'm just recording something or whatever, we're speaking in something, but then when you actually read into it and actually think, how am I actually, when you break it down, how am I going to actually make this work and get it from you onto the laptop, and how I'm going to edit and get it uploaded. And when you actually look into it like that, you're like, this shit isn't actually as straightforward as it first seems.
It ain't a game. So what we're going to do is we're going to give you the inside fucking secrets. Yes, we are. Because there is, like you said, there is a lot to learn. There's a lot to absorb. From whether it's microphones or laptops or cameras or actually building a little studio for yourself. As you can tell probably from this video, lighting wise, we still haven't got that sorted yet.
That's coming, isn't it?
But that's coming. That'll hopefully be sorted over the next couple of weeks as well. And then we're looking to have some guests on, add some more mics, which means, again, different equipment. And it is a bit of a minefield, but hopefully we can give you something just to get started. So if you do have any questions regarding football or how to podcast, again, just let us know. Get in touch with us. We're more than happy to help and give our advice and the little that we know, shall we say.
Yes.
So, anyway, okay, right, we're back. Football. So we won't digress too much more, because we do have still a little bit to talk about, and we do have a pretty interesting subject we want to touch upon regarding sort of Megan Rapinoe and the whole equality in football, shall we say. But we'll come to that last. Now, going back to the Premier League fixtures, Chelsea, we'll start there.
Yeah.
James Maddison. Oh, boy, oh boy, oh boy.
Oh, he's good.
Fucking boy, man. God, James Maddison, I love him so much.
He's good, but he did miss an absolute sitter.
He did miss a sitter, right? But you know what, though? He was just absolutely everywhere. And he confirmed to me in that game that I kind of knew already, right? But he's a top 4 player.
Yeah.
100%.
Wouldn't argue.
100% a top 4 player. Could get into most top 4 sides now and start and play very well and dictate a game for them. Do you see his little beef with Jeremy Clarkson?
I did.
Oh.
About his hair.
Oh, Jeremy Clarkson. I don't know why you're going at you. I don't know why Jeremy Clarkson, with all his money.
I couldn't understand the link.
I think Clarkson might be a Chelsea fan.
Okay.
Because I seem to think he had a black Labrador and he named it Drogba, which did not go down well, as you can imagine. It was in rather poor taste, some may say.
Yeah, I did see the Twitter sort of spat. I say spat. He tweeted something about if he practiced as much time playing football as he did with his hair or something, wasn't it?
If he spent as much time on the training pitch or something, or the football pitch, as he did in the barbers. It was just a very little... It was a crap insult, to be honest.
Maddison actually did shut him up. Did you see his response?
Yeah, he said, you've got... I can
stick
count...
to cars or something.
He said, stick to cars. I can count how many trims you've got left on one hand.
Hashtag thin the smell on it, yeah.
Which, in fairness, was a very good comeback.
Yeah.
But Maddison moving forward was sensational on the weekend. Mm-hmm. Chelsea struggling, though, bro.
Yeah, it's a bit of a pattern emerging with them. They, against United, like we said, for at least the first half and probably the beginning of the second half, they looked very dangerous. They created chances, and looked like they could really do some damage. But then they tailed off.
They did tail off.
They were pretty, they were pretty good in the Chelsea game, in the Liverpool game, in the Super Cup. And then I watched the game on Sunday. They started off very well. Obviously, Pedro, Giroud, Pulisic, Mount. They all looked extremely.
Shout out to Mason Mount as well.
Yeah,
oh, yeah.
But you just think every time I watch them play now going forward.
They're missing something.
If they don't score any of the early chances, I'm going to be thinking every time now that they're going to rue those missed chances.
Do you know the one thing we have learned, if we could pick anything about that Chelsea side, is that right now they're struggling to get over the line.
Yeah,
they're struggling to finish teams off,
and they don't have just not even one clinical goal scorer.
Giroud is a very good football player, but
off the bench.
Ultimately, Giroud isn't getting any younger either, and there's a lot of responsibility on Tammy Abraham's shoulders. And Tammy Abraham reminds me a little of Dan James in that respect, because what Chelsea have done now is taken a guy who was at a championship club last season, thrust him into the first team and said, "You're our guy, you need to help us get top 4." And all of a sudden, Tammy Abraham's kind of... he is buckling under the pressure a little bit.
It could all have been so different though. He scores that goal against United.
Yeah.
His confidence could be sky high. He could then score that penalty, but that didn't happen. And he missed the chance against United. Then he has a bit of a whinge and certain, he's saying he was fouled when he was just sort of moved off the ball against Maguire, and then he sort of comes on. He misses his penalty. He came on against Leicester and didn't really do much. And with a young player like he has with Mason Mount, I feel you kind of got to either stick with them or don't bother.
Yeah.
Tammy Abraham having one game starting and then coming off the bench, and that's not going to do much for his confidence wise.
No, and do you know what? The racial abuse he suffered as well was disgusting too.
That's true.
Absolutely fucking vile. So to anybody out there that felt it necessary to treat him that way after a missed penalty. Get a fucking life.
Exactly.
Yes, our podcast is called Victory and Vices because you look for moral victory with the main vice in your life. But Jesus, go get laid or something, bro.
Yeah.
What are you racially abusing a guy
Disgusting.
over the internet for? It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But anyway, Chelsea struggling to get over the line. They do have positives. Pulisic. I don't know how you pronounce my man's name.
Pulisic, they're saying it that way. But look, they've got Loftus-Cheek to come back. They've got Hodgson to come back.
Was Willian back on the weekend?
I can't remember.
If he
I don't
was,
think he played,
I
did
don't
he?
think I remember him, no.
It was a bit of a strange one. The second half, obviously, the game turned on its head a little bit. I didn't really understand the take-in. Was it Jorginho off for Kovacic?
Yeah.
Because, yes, Kovacic offers slightly bit more going forward than Jorginho. But you got Kante and Jorginho. I don't think it was enough extra going forward to break up the partnership of Kante Jorginho.
Yeah.
And when they made that change, it just seemed to get worse. And you got someone like Maddison and even Tielemans, good players,
creative
on the ball,
players,
and there's just nobody picking them up.
Yeah,
just left to run free. And Jamie Vardy had some good chances. Maddison missed an absolute sitter, and you could probably say that they should have won the game in the end.
Yeah.
Indeed, he did redeem himself to a certain extent.
Indeed, his quality as well is very underrated.
So, yeah, it's difficult times for Lampard at the moment. You can see his ideas and you can see what he wants to do. Obviously, he's back in youth. I think he's also trying to play a very high-energy, high-press system, and perhaps they're not as up to that fitness level like a Liverpool where they can sustain that, because they've tend to die off in the second half.
Yeah, I've noticed
most
that
games now. So,
like I said, there is a struggle for them to get over the line, but it was never something Lampard was going to sort in a couple of weeks. That takes months and years, and it's going to take a lot of preparation.
And what he's lacking, he couldn't sign anyway. So
precisely,
I think because it's Lampard, obviously he's got an element of time on his side, but he just for his sake, he needs that win soon. They've got Norwich next. So that is a winnable game, but that could that's a nice segue.
Well, that is an excellent media segue. See how good this guy is at this media malarkey now. No Pookie, no party. Let me tell you. Pookie's quote of match of the day. I just want to touch upon that quickly, right? Because I tweeted it out, and when I heard it, I was a little bit taken aback because Gary Lineker he brushed past it.
He did brush past it, yeah.
And Gary Lineker, as he does, excellent pro. He was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, fair enough, yeah." So Pookie said, "Yeah, I like this. Having this match ball would be great because my young daughter's starting to like to play with. She's, oh god, it's so like I can't even say it out loud, right? But like he basically said, my daughter likes playing with balls, right? So I was like, oh for fuck's sake, really? Do you know what I mean? And again, he's Finnish, right? So maybe English isn't his first language.
He's only 28, isn't he?
Auntie Naomi, come on down. But yeah, fucking hell, bro, Jesus.
I don't even know if he's 28, but
he might be 38 actually. But shout out to Pookie though. I mean, look, he's got 4-2.
4-2, yeah.
If you're going to stay up in the Premier League, you need a goal scorer. If you're going to do anything in the Premier League,
he's 29.
You need a goal scorer. Oh, he's
that would be brilliant.
We were close, but anyway, shout out to him. Great finishes.
That first one as well. Oh,
fire.
He even said himself, like he almost hinted like he didn't know he could score goals like that.
Oh, he can.
And he did.
Oh, he can.
Yeah.
Let me tell you.
And I've said this in the past, right? So shout out to Norwich and Timo Pukki as well, because when you're a newly promoted side, right, it's one thing playing good football like Norwich did in the Championship last season, and obviously getting promoted quite comfortably. But you need to have, if you're going to stand any chance of staying up, a clinical goal scorer. Now, I never thought I'd say that about Timo Pukki. In his stint at Celtic, I think he scored 7 goals in like 40, 50 appearances.
There's still a long road ahead of him, might I add.
There is, but these early goals are going to do his confidence so much because he now knows that he can score goals in the Premier League, right? Mm-hmm. Will he go through dry spells? Probably, because Norwich are going to go through bad spells, right? But the newly promoted clubs that either do well or stay up usually have a good goal scorer up top.
That's very true. They do.
When they're up against it, especially in and amongst the teams around them, that can be the difference. So he's got
as he proved on the weekend.
Yeah, and sort of looking at Newcastle, there looks to be.
We might not want to look at Newcastle because Newcastle is a look away now situation.
It is, yes.
Because that all hell is going to break loose in Newcastle by mid-October, November if things keep going the way they are.
I don't want to open a can of worms here because it can often be the case with Newcastle, right? But I joked to Reece, when they announced that Steve Bruce was taking over.
When Mike Bassett came in, yeah.
And it's just like, I've never ever looked at Steve Bruce, if I was a fan at any club in the Premier League, and gone, no, he's what we need.
Paul Ince seems to think otherwise. Paul Ince was adamant he should have been Manchester United manager.
Well, I disagree, Paul. Sorry.
I think everybody disagree. We all disagree.
It's not looking good. We won't delve into that too much because it's only 2 games in, but they looked okay against Arsenal, but to go away to Norwich, it's their first home game, and obviously the crowd were up for it, etc., etc. Shelby took his goal well, but apart from that, there wasn't really very much trying to get behind. So, for Reece's sake and all Newcastle fans' sake, I hope that it will get a little bit better, but I know
I've got them cross for you Newcastle fans. I do like Newcastle as a club, so I hope they pull through. All right, cool. We won't necessarily go into too much depth with the other games. Aston Villa, they lost against Bournemouth. Harry Wilson scored from outside the box. Terrific for Welsh football.
Jack Grealish's record, you know about that?
Jack Grealish's record's so sad, man. It's so sad. The guy can't catch a break. First he gets punched on the pitch, and now he can't win he can't even win a football match. I feel for Jack, but that'll come with time. He again is a wonderful talent. I think he's a great player. Brighton 1-0 with West Ham. Again, solid start from Brighton. They'll be happy with a point.
They will.
West Ham, they've spent a bit of money. They've got some very good players. I'm not overly worried about West Ham. Again, I think they'll come in the top 10. Fair shout, do you reckon?
Thereabouts, yeah.
There or thereabouts,
where they were last year.
They'll be competing with, again, the Bournemouths, the Wolves. I think Leicester will probably be top of that pile with maybe Everton. Watford, Watford. Let's talk about it quick. Everton, Watford. Watford are looking like maybe they peaked a little bit last season. Is that a fair shout?
Yes, I see where you're coming from. Again, you've got to remember, right, going back to Newcastle ever so slightly, last season they had a shocking start, and I was reading stats about them that had never been seen before by Newcastle fans, that they'd had a worse start or had conceded most goals or lost most games in a row at home since 19 and whatever, right?
Yeah.
And obviously they ended up finishing, 13th?
I don't know the final position, but it was a solid finish.
I don't want to be too quick to just slam Watford down and say that they peaked too soon and maybe that they're going to be in the mix for relegation, but whatever they had last season, take the FA Cup final away, right? Whatever they finished the season with last season with Dale Lefeo, obviously doing very good, among others, they haven't begun the season with that.
That X factor is missing a little bit, isn't it? Yeah.
They just look at like there's nothing to them at the moment.
Heavy-legged.
Slow start. Maybe lacking a little bit of luck as well. Sometimes you just need the rub of the green, but we shall see. I mean, it is too early just to say they peaked. It's a question I want to throw out there because we like opinions and we want to get, some information on what you think. I don't personally think they will go down.
Oh God, no!
Teams,
they're absolutely not going down.
But they're going to need to improve significantly.
It'll be a mid-table mediocrity if they don't.
Otherwise, they could find themselves in nobody. Obviously, you don't want to get relegated, but the worst thing from that is one of those sides. Watford are like a fairly biggish club, and you don't want to be 14th, 15th. That's just a nothing position where there's just nothing going for you. Is there? You're not quite shit enough to be relegated.
But you're not good enough to do anything else. I know, yeah. But even then, I suppose, a lot of fans, they'll just go, okay, we'll take it. We'll write it off. We'll come back next season. Yeah, it's another season of Premier League football. We'll see. Yeah, interesting. I think that's pretty much all the games we've covered, bro. I don't think there is anything else. I mean, Bournemouth, Brighton, Everton, Norwich, that's pretty much the fixture list done. As I say, this season we're going to try and condense it and just talk about mostly the talking points. As I say, some games there won't be any talking points at all, so we're going to have a look in depth at some things and not so much others as we did previously, but the big talking point we wanted to bring up this week, that's not necessarily outside of football because it is related, but it is also a big social issue. Now, the world around us is changing very rapidly, and equality is a buzzword that's out there right now. It's a hot topic, and Megan Rapinoe came out the other day, talks with the US. I don't know if it was delegates from the US women's national team or actual players from the national team were talking with the Soccer Federation in America about equal pay, and talks broke down. And Megan Rapinoe and don't remember the other girl's name, forgive my ignorance in that, were on American TV, and they were talking about it, and they said they weren't serious about it. Now, because you articulate stuff like this very well, so I want your opinion first before I sort of delve into it. I don't dislike Megan Rapinoe.
Yeah.
I think she's a very talented athlete. She's clearly one of the best in her field. But does she deserve the same pay as a male counterpart?
So, do you mean like the exact same
figure? The exact same figure.
I just don't see how she can expect it, is what I want to say first of all.
Okay.
Does she deserve it is a difficult question, because if you're comparing it by talent, then it's very difficult to compare one of the best female footballers, say one of the best male footballers, because it's very much opinion. But if you want to look at the situation in terms of, I don't think financially she can expect to get equal pay, because firstly there's nowhere near as much money within the game, right? Or interest or popularity. Is it getting better and getting more popular? Absolutely, right? That they pulled in, the Women's World Cup, drew in record figures.
They did.
It much higher than what they've seen in the past, right? Which shows that the interest in it is growing. Okay, but if you're she said in an interview, which I looked at recently, that when she's calling for equality, she's by no means saying that they're poor. She said that last year she earned about $500,000. Okay,
it's not a bad income,
and that's in terms of international and club salary, right? And so she's come out and she's been honest and said, I'm by no means saying that I'm poor or we're poor, right? But she's just kind of saying that they should have more. Now, I think next year, 1 year down the line, ask her what she makes next year, because women's football is growing, or women's soccer, whoever's listening.
Soccer for American viewers, yeah.
So right now, does she deserve equal pay? No, she doesn't, because there's not as much money or interest circulating within women's football, I don't think. So to pay her that amount of money would just seem very disproportionate.
Yeah.
Does she deserve, and does her and some of the top footballers like Alex Morgan and others like that, do they deserve a similar sort of percentage? If you want to talk about what they're being paid in terms of percentage of what money's in the game, then yeah, I think there's a better case for that, right? And I don't see why why that can't be the case. I don't know the exact figures. When you present figures, they can come across. You can present them to suit the narrative, really, can't you?
You can.
Because I saw that the women's national or USA national team got paid more from the World Cup than the men did.
Percentage-wise,
okay. Yeah. And I actually believe there was a bigger payout to the USA national team than there was to the men's.
Yeah.
But
which it would, they did win the World Cup.
Yeah, exactly.
So fair enough. Okay.
And someone was quick to point that out to Megan Rapinoe, but she then came back and said, "But what have they been paid out versus us in the last 10 years? When you add all that up and what they've achieved versus what we've achieved." And I get that, right? But I feel like in time that this could be different. In 2 or 3 years, I'd like to see what Megan Rapinoe's earning then.
She'll probably be retired by then, I imagine. But
yeah.
Look, it's an interesting subject. We want your opinions on it as well. So hit us up in the comments, tweet us, let us know. Now, my opinion on this is very similar to yours, but it's also very different. If Megan Rapinoe comes out and says, I want us to have the same percentage, like you said. So let's say they get X amount of whatever income there is from women's football. It's the same as the men's. I have no problem with that. If she turns around and says, I want to have better facilities so women can, keep going and advancing and growing, and we want to have access to better coaches, better facilities. We want to, improve the league. No problem with that.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing. The headlines constantly state one thing: equal pay. Now, a Twitter user, I feel, summed that up quite well the other day, where he said it was, how can I put this, because I want to word it correctly. He said it was equality masquerading as greed, and I felt that was a very I thought it was a very clever way of putting it, because ultimately women's football is a long way from men's football.
Correct.
It's a long way away. I mean, look, shout out to all the women that go out there and do their thing, but you have to understand it is a million miles off of men's football. Now, if you were to take the top-ranked women's team, which would be the USA, and you take the 100 ranked team. Now, if you go onto Google for me, bro, look in the FIFA rankings.
Women's rankings?
The men's rankings.
Oh, men's.
Find out who is 100 in the world.
Yeah.
Now, if you were to put the American team, the women's team, against the number 1 ranked team in the world, right, the men's team, they probably wouldn't even touch the ball, right? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Now, if you were to put the women's number 1 team against the 100 ranked team in the world, they still wouldn't touch the ball. They would be. We would be. If it was 20-0, would you be surprised?
No, you wouldn't.
You wouldn't.
No.
And what we're talking about here is levels. There is levels to this. What I want is equal pay for equal play. And that goes across all sports. Now, if you work in an office, right, and you do the exact same job as a man, you deserve to be paid equal. There is no way a man should be earning more than a woman in that environment. But this is a grey area, because there's levels to this. There's different skill sets, and there's different marketing audiences, and there's different demographics that participate in it.
Estonia.
And so Estonia now. So if we took the Estonia national team against the women's team, I mean, what type of scoreline would you predict?
Yeah, that is true, right? The only thing I will say to that is there is a very obvious physical and genetic difference.
Well, again, we could delve deeper into this subject and talk about, the male anatomy and the female anatomy, how men are generally more powerful and quicker, and it's just
the thing is the sport of tennis, for example. They, as of I can't remember what year it was, but the women, especially I think in the Grand Slams and Wimbledon, get exactly the same prize money as the men.
And I have a problem with that, because it's not equal pay for equal play.
Because
they play less sets. Now, that's not equality. Now, equality means you are equal. That is essentially what the word is. You cannot be equal. Megan Rapinoe, why should she be paid the same as a Christian Pulisic?
That's the big argument.
Bear in mind now, Christian Pulisic is 100 million times the player that she is.
Yeah.
And I've no problem with her earning a very good wage, and I've no problem with her earning a very good living. But why would you be paid the same as someone who has a significantly higher skill set that plays in a much more difficult competition? No, just because I win the League 2 title 3 years running, I can't then go, well, I want the same amount as a Premier League player. It doesn't work like that. And I feel like there's a bit of a bandwagon coming through town, and people are jumping on the equality bandwagon. It doesn't work like that. Yeah. This is football. This is not working in an office. This is not working in any other sort of private sector. This is the entertainment industry, as you pointed out. And I just feel her words are coming out. Maybe I'm misconstruing the headlines, but I feel like her words in terms of using equality are way off. And just a case in point, I don't know which De Boer brother it was. It's either Frank or Ronald, who's now manager of Atlanta.
I think it's Frank.
It might be Frank. And he was talking about how outrageous it is that the Dutch national side, the women's side, is now paid exactly the same as the men's. Yeah. That's an outrage, because the levels are completely different. If you put them against each other on a pitch, the men's team would smash them.
Oh, absolutely.
They wouldn't even touch the ball. So how can you get equal pay? It doesn't make any sense, and you can't just have equal pay just for the sake of it, just to tick a box. To me, it's wrong, bro.
Yeah, no, I do agree with you. And what she's doing, that is, people are calling it obviously outlandish and quite outspoken and ignorant, using a lot of words about it, right? It's also in a way a little bit clever, what she's doing to an extent.
She comes across as quite a smart character.
She is, and if you read into her a bit more and read into her background and her interviews and a lot of things she said without just taking snippets, she's being outspoken because she wants to draw attention and exposure to women's football, right? Mm-hmm. Which, and it says before, good publicity, bad publicity, it's all publicity, right? And that's how you get people to watch and people to gain interest. So in a way, if she's looking for more money to come into the women's game, then they need someone like her who is going to speak out and get people talking about it, right? So you can see why she's doing what she's doing. She does not care at all what she says. She literally has no filter. You read up on it, she really does not give a fuck.
She doesn't give a fuck. That's very true.
And whether you like it or not, she is creating rifts and she is drumming up a little bit of attention and drama that is putting the spotlight on the women's game a bit more. So I totally agree with you in terms of that. Do I think that she should earn the equal pay as much as the men? No, because they're not as talented. But I have no issue with women's football growing and them earning more money.
And then that's the point that I think we should re-emphasize as well. We have zero problem, right, with women's football growing, becoming the best it can be, people creating history, people starting new chapters, people earning very good livings. But when it comes to earning the same as men, this chat has to stop.
I don't think it's ever going to happen either.
Look, when
fully anyway.
The interview she had was she said, you know, talks have broken down, and you know, we'll talk again maybe when they're a bit more serious. You're gonna be waiting a while.
Yeah.
You're gonna be waiting a long time, because with all due respect, the Women's World Cup, whilst you won it, the standard was not good. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know, again, just using an example, if it was the Australian national team, there was a women's team that lost to an under-16s boys team.
Yeah.
Which is case in point, everything that we've just talked about. The levels aren't there. The standard isn't there. The quality isn't there. Hell, the interest isn't there right now either. There's no marketing budget like it is in other football. You just can't ask for equal pay. And sometimes, like you said, she's drawing attention to it. I don't like people being controversial just for the sake of being controversial, just to keep their name in the headlines. There's plenty of other good things she could be doing in terms of equality, which would really be pushing... it would be pushing her narrative forward. It would be pushing the whole movement forward.
Yeah.
I don't think this pushes the movement forward in any way, shape or form. Mm-hmm. I think if anything, it starts to hinder it. And a lot of people will look at her and just not take her seriously and be like, are you actually mental? How on earth could you have equal pay? Yeah. How on earth could Megan Rapinoe want equal pay with someone that can do the job 100 million times better? And the excuse in America is, and I saw a lot of people say it, they're like, well, pay those women what they want because they've won another World Cup and the men didn't even make it to the World Cup. The standard is significantly higher. Significantly higher. As we saw, I don't know who lost in the World Cup to America. Was it Thailand? They absolutely battered out of sight. Do you know what I mean? It was a joke of a game. So that's my take on it. Look, I'd say I want people to do well, but if you're going to talk about equality, I just think there's other sectors you can work upon and other areas you can work within that can push that whole movement forward.
So just to summarise, we are absolutely, totally fine with them earning more money and interest increasing in women's football.
Correct.
And as a result of that, more money being generated, which can be put back in to salaries and things like
100%,
that. 100%,
but it shouldn't be equal pay.
Shouldn't be equal.
Absolutely not. But anyway, let us know your opinions on it. Get at us in the comments. Let us know on Twitter or IG, whatever is your most suited platform. Mm-hmm. In terms of the football roundup, I'm pretty sure that's it for us this week. But I mean, was there anything else you wanted to bring up that caught your eye?
No, I think that's it. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, I think we'll probably be bringing maybe a fantasy football element to it in the coming weeks.
Yes, fantasy football. If anybody is doing that, Vecky's our go-to guy for that, so let him know. Tweet him, get at him on IG again as well. If you want any tips, you want to give him any tips. I don't know, how are you doing in fantasy football right now? All right?
Yeah, doing okay so far. Obviously, it's early days, especially with the start of the season. You're still working out who's in form, who's not, and who's going to get you the points. So the
iron out the creases,
the surprises are. So yeah, I'll probably be bringing some sort of 5 to 10 minute segment in the coming weeks once we sort of see who's doing what and the movers, the shakers, and things like that. Probably be sort of recommending you sort of who's good to come in at a good price, who's going to get you the points, etc. So
okay,
stay tuned
cool.
for that.
I like it. All right, we'll be back next week. Remember, subscribe to the channel. If you'd rather listen to us in sort of an audio format, again, you have iTunes, you've got SoundCloud. We're everywhere, and we ain't going anywhere.
We are everywhere.
We are everywhere, and we ain't going anywhere.
We're behind you right now.
Yeah, that's right. We're in your living room as we speak. So with that being said, we will sign out till next time, people. Take care. Ciao.